1. Above. At a higher level or layer. Place a quantity of mud in a jar with water above. Tom lives in the room above us. He is strong, brave and, above all, kind. Tom was the one who gave me the painting that's hanging above my fireplace. They want, above all things, to live in peace. Don't go above the speed limit. 2. Effect. To change or influence. If the boy had known skipping class would negatively affect his grades, he would never have missed his lectures. According to the store owner, online sales won't greatly affect his business because he has a loyal customer base. When the restaurant's low health inspection score is posted online, it will adversely affect business. 3. Among. Being a member or members of a larger set. A British woman was among the 54 victims of the disaster. We discussed this point among ourselves numerous times over the past months. Pretty sure he's the only one among us who was able to out-manipulate her. Several persons, among them the elderly lady and Anna Pavlovna, did however smile. You will find much of your power diminished, especially among those who used to bow to you. 4. Answer. A thing that is said, written, or done as a reaction to a question, statement, or situation. He knocked and entered without waiting for an answer. The answer to poverty and unemployment is a properly funded range of services. He had to answer for the consequences of the project. 5. Apply. Make a formal application or request. Be applicable or relevant. You need to apply to the local authority for a grant. You should apply pressure above the wound to stop the bleeding. 6. Approach. Come nearer to someone or something, in distance or time. Speak to someone for the first time about a proposal or request. A way of dealing with a situation or problem. The hunter tried to approach the deer quietly so he would not scare it away. The department had been approached about funding. There are often several approaches to diagnosing and treating a health problem. My boss seemed very stern and unapproachable at first, but now I feel I can talk to him about anything. 7. Argue. To give reasons for your support or condemnation of certain ideals, typically in an aggressive manner. If you wish to argue for an idea that you believe in, you are better off relying on logic than emotion. It is not a good idea to argue with your friends, as few people know how to argue in a way that doesn't insult the other person. 8. Around. Nearby, in the area. So as to face in the opposite direction. There is supposed to be a park around the corner, but we haven't been able to find it. The girl, who had her head on the boy's shoulder, looked around in surprise. Looking around the building, the burglar was looking for a way to break in. He turned around to face her. Guy seized her by the shoulders and turned her around. 9. Arrive. Reach a place at the end of a journey or a stage in a journey. Theo never arrives at a party on time. Both scientists arrived at the same conclusion after studying the data. The whole family is anxiously awaiting the arrival of the new baby. 10. Attack. An aggressive and violent act against a person or place. A dog attacked him when he jumped into the yard. He attacked the government's defense policy. 11. Avoid. Keep away from or stop oneself from doing something. You can't avoid doing your homework, so you might as well get started now. The avoidance of an excess of fatty meats has been shown to reduce the likelihood of heart attack. Police believe the accident was avoidable if only the victims had been more careful. Stress is practically unavoidable, but it doesn't have to have a negative impact on your health. History is the sum total of things that could have been avoided. She keeps avoiding me. 12. Away. To or at a distance from a particular place or person. Alex stood and turned away from him, staring out the window. Then together they crept away to enter the low doorway of a neighboring dwelling. Finally she pushed away from his embrace. 13. Back. Of or at the back of something. If you run out of cash, you can fall back on your savings in the bank. You cannot take back what you have said. Blood is flowing from the wound at the back of her head. I came down from the back to get a better look at the board. She put the book back on the shelf. 14. Base. The lowest part or edge of something, especially the part on which it rests or is supported. She sat down at the base of a tree. The film is based on a novel by Pat Conroy. The only sound was the rush of water at the base of the canyon. I base that expectation in part on the fact that today, many of us already live in more comfort than the richest king in the world did 200 years ago. 15. Before. During the period of time preceding a particular event or time. In front of. You should acquaint yourself with the facts before you make a decision. Matilda stood before her, panting. 16. By. Identifying the agent performing an action. I guess he was stunned by my beauty. Her actions had clearly taken him by surprise. A car flashed by on the other side of the road. Philippa finally took her by the arm. Then another light flashed clear and bright by the side of the first one. 17. Care. Feel concern or interest, attach importance to something. He planned his departure with great care. They don't care about human life. He has numerous animals to care for. She will care for you from now on. 18. Carry. Support and move someone or something from one place to another. Do you want me to carry you inside? We carry our own water and testing equipment. I'll carry this suitcase for you. 19. Cause. A person or thing that gives rise to an action, phenomenon, or condition. Does human activity cause the planet to warm? The storm caused a power outage. I don't want to cause you any problems. Carelessness often causes accidents. Tom causes me a lot of extra work. 20. Central. At the point or in the area that is in the middle of something. Of the greatest importance, principal or essential. The station has a central courtyard. After the war, it remained a central hub. His preoccupation with history is central to his work. There were 2 units on either side, on both floors, divided by a central hall and staircase. 21. Chance. A possibility of something happening. Do something by accident or without intending to. You had your chance to solve it on your own. What a chance those girls have missed. I met her by chance at a restaurant yesterday. It chanced that we were both traveling on the same train. I chanced talking to her. 22. Charge. Demand an amount as a price for a service rendered. Formally accuse someone of something, especially an offense under law. The bank charges $20 for any check that is returned. The authorities have decided not to press charges due to a lack of evidence. The elephant charged at the tiger, chasing it away. 23. Choice. An act of choosing between 2 or more possibilities. I know you didn't get the job, but if it is any consolation, you were the second choice out of over 20 applicants. I told you to be home by midnight, and you chose to defy me. I have no choice but to punish you. 24. Choose. Pick out someone or something, as being the best or most appropriate of 2 or more alternatives. You cannot be too careful when you choose your job. She will help me choose myself a new car. 25. Clear. Easy to perceive, understand, or interpret. Remove an obstruction or unwanted item from somewhere. The experiment ended inconclusively, without any clear evidence to support the hypothesis. They always seem to avoid making any clear statement because they try to please everyone at the same time. Karen cleared the dirty plates. 26. Concern. Anxiety, worry. Relate to, be about. We are a little concerned about your son's behavior at school. The number one issue that concerns people in this country right now is unemployment. The concerns of the upper class are quite different from those of the working class. Mind your own business, this doesn't concern you. As far as I'm concerned, I would never buy that car. 27. Condition. The state of something with regard to its appearance, quality, or working order. He was in no condition to drive after the party, he could hardly even stand up. Working conditions at the plant have certainly improved since we joined the union. The poor in this country are living in terrible conditions. It's a national disgrace. Both countries have agreed to the conditions for a ceasefire. Regular conditioning has ensured that the athletes are in top shape. 28. Contain. Have or hold, someone or something, within. Control or restrain, oneself or a feeling. The boat contained 4 people. Fred could hardly contain his excitement. He must contain his hatred. 29. Control. The power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. The whole operation is under the control of a production manager. Unless we control spending, we will be in serious trouble. He lost control of the car when he hit ice, and smashed into a telephone pole. My father is in control of the company, I'm just an employee. 30. Cost. An amount that has to be paid or spent to buy or obtain something. It is costing them thousands of dollars to put their children through university. Don't let a mistake like drinking and driving cost you your life. We have had to raise prices because our costs have gone up. 31. Cover. Put something on top of or in front of something, in order to protect or conceal it. Shelter or protection sought by people in danger. The table had been covered with a check tablecloth. When the victim was found by the police, he was covered in blood. The children all ran for cover when it began to rain. Women are expected to cover their heads in public in some countries. We'd better cover up the food until we start eating, otherwise, the flies will get into it. The website covers topics such as water safety and basic first aid. 32. Cultural. Relating to the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a society. Education is vital to the cultural life of a society. Western society has a cultural tradition of approving violence in the family setting. 33. Deal. An agreement entered into by 2 or more parties for their mutual benefit, especially in a business or political context. The 2 men sealed the deal with a handshake. The police burst into the room where the drug deal was taking place. The company tries to be fair and honest in all its dealings. There were a number of discipline problems in the classroom which had to be dealt with. 34. Describe. Give a detailed account in words of. She was described as being tall, thin and mean-looking. The meeting has been described as perhaps the most important in the last 5 years. Please write a 1-page essay describing your bedroom. The chocolate was indescribably delicious. 35. Despite. Without being affected by, in spite of. She got the job despite the fact that she had very little experience. We enjoyed ourselves despite the poor weather. He passed the course, despite the fact that he never studied. He won the badminton match despite the fact that he was playing with the wrong hand. 36. Determine. Cause something to occur in a particular way or to have a particular nature. Ascertain or establish exactly by research or calculation. It will be her mental attitude that determines her future. The weight of the salmon determines the length of cooking time required. Janice is determined to quit her job because she doesn't like her boss. The boy was determined to finish his homework Friday evening so that he would have the weekend free. Genetic factors may play a role in determining a person's personality. 37. Discover. Find unexpectedly or during a search. The discovery that his father was still alive was a great shock to him. Scientists have discovered a gene which may explain why some people become alcoholics. She discovered she was adopted when she found her birth certificate. 38. During. Throughout the course or duration of a period of time. He must have changed clothes during the night. The restaurant is open during the day. Howie simply wanted to see who was in the assigned hotel room sometime during the weekend. 39. Effect. A change which is a result or consequence of an action or other cause. Cause something to happen, bring about. Her statement had a surprising effect on Dean. The Prime Minister effected many policy changes. The changes had an immediate effect. 40. Else. In addition, besides. Anything else you need to know? We're going somewhere else to talk. That is the only reality in the world, all else is folly. 41. End. The part of an area that lies at the boundary. Cessation of a course of action, pursuit, or activity. In the end, there was no choice. Carmen thought that might be the end of the conflict. The path became more indistinct with each step, eventually coming to an end in dense underbrush. He had fastened one end of the strap to a wheel of the buggy. 42. Enough. As much or as many as required. I've taken up enough of his time. I could never stay long enough on the shore. The car had been shut up long enough that it smelled of old upholstery. They also put in some bread and meat and other food, enough for several weeks. But I think perhaps you have had enough lessons for one night. 43. Enter. Come or go into a place. We are about to enter a world where robots do more and more of our work for us. How shall I enter the drawing room? From the corner of her eye, she saw Alex enter the living room with a cup of coffee in one hand. 44. Entire. With no part left out, whole. He was so tired that he slept through the entire movie. The decision is entirely up to you. He threw up after drinking an entire case of beer. It seemed like the entire world was watching the television on the day Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. 45. Establish. Set up on a firm or permanent basis. To legally establish our company, we had to fill out many forms and get permits from the city. Candace wants to establish a closer bond with her mother, so she spends lots of time with her. Frank has established himself as one of the top salesmen in the local used car industry. 46. Executive. A person with senior managerial responsibility in a business. Her husband is a senior bank executive with the Bank of Hong Kong. Someone once joked that executive ability is a talent for deciding something quickly, and getting someone else to do it. 47. Experience. Knowledge or skill gained by doing. The woman's previous management experience made her a shoo-in for the leadership position at a local factory. Ask the experienced rather than the learned. I don't think an inexperienced skier should try this hill, it's much too steep. 48. Face. Be positioned with the face or front towards someone or something. Confront and deal with or accept. Carmen looked up at his face and found it as stern as his voice. He turned to face her. Honesty forced her to face facts. We all know the stories of people who win the lottery, and let's face it, far too often no good comes of it. 49. Fall. Move from a higher to a lower level, typically rapidly and without control. An act of falling or collapsing. I'd better get a screwdriver and tighten that ladder before you fall and break your neck. His mother had a fall as she alighted from a train. If your productivity fell, then your salary would fall as well. The battery in the lantern might be dead or the fall might have broken it. 50. Far. Situated at a great distance in space or time. The house was not too far away. She had come this far, and nothing was going to stop her now. So far her prayers had been unanswered. He asked me to indicate as far as I could the gestures and action that should go with the lines. 51. Fear. Be afraid of someone or something, as likely to be dangerous, painful, or harmful. Her terrible fear of spiders makes it impossible for her to go camping. His fear of failure causes him a lot of stress before every exam. Refugees are hesitant to return to their homes, fearing more attacks by the military. Rescuers are now fearful that no one has survived the crash of the aircraft. Martin Luther King was fearless in his fight for civil rights. 52. Figure. A person's bodily shape, especially that of a woman and when considered to be attractive. A number, especially one which forms part of official statistics or relates to the financial performance of a company. She does a lot of exercise, and has a beautiful figure because of it. Can you add up these figures for me, and see if you get the same total? When he was absent from work, I just figured he was sick, but I heard today that he quit. 53. Focus. To pay attention to or study something closely. The swerving driver was too drunk to be able to focus on the road. Cam seemed kind of unfocused at the meeting. I wonder if something is bothering him. Tonight's program focuses on the difference between human and ape forms of intelligence. 54. Follow. Go or come after, a person or thing proceeding ahead, move or travel behind. Because he is rich, it doesn't follow that he is happy. They were stupid not to follow your advice. Some pupils find it difficult to follow the rules. 55. Force. Strength or energy as an attribute of physical action or movement. The force of the storm was so great that it snapped trees in half. She was forced to withdraw from the competition because of a back injury. Jeanette spoke sincerely and forcefully of her fight against discrimination in her country. 56. Form. The shape and structure of something as distinguished from its material. She placed the form in front of her on the counter and began filling it out. I just don't believe in hitting as a form of punishment. Sophia saw the tears form in her gaze. I haven't formed an opinion about that yet. Once a bad habit is formed, it is hard to get rid of it. 57. Forward. Directed or facing towards the front or the direction that one is facing or traveling. She stepped forward and pulled the newspaper down with one hand. They had to move forward, and leave the past behind them. Alex leaned forward and placed his hands, fists down, on the desk. While Howie stood shyly by the door, she boldly stepped forward and introduced herself. 58. Fund. To supply money to someone or something for a certain reason. I needed to fund my savings account with enough money to cover the 3 checks I wrote today. Even though Christopher Columbus was from Italy, Spain decided to fund his trip, which resulted in the discovery of a new world. We invested our money in a number of international funds, and made a good profit. 59. Hang. Suspend or be suspended from above with the lower part dangling free. If you don't like the weather, hang around until this afternoon. Carmen, don't you ever hang up on me again. They are no better than wooden horses to hang the clean clothes on. If you call me any of those things, I'll hang you upside down from this tree and watch you starve. 60. Happen. Take place, occur. I won't let anything happen to you. Sometimes very terrible accidents happen, and many people are injured. I just happened to meet my cousin at the concert. 61. Hold. Grasp, carry, or support with one's arms or hands. Can you hold lunch for a little bit? The thin pipes didn't look strong enough to hold him. We will just put things on hold until you return. Our job is to hold this group together, for the children. She wrenched free of his hold and pushed him hard enough to slide out from between him and the wall. He caught hold of her arm. 62. Hope. Want something to happen or be the case. I hope to marry her. I hope you will correct the situation immediately. Her happiness and enthusiasm radiate from her, and bring hope to everyone around her. 63. Identify. Establish or indicate who or what someone or something is. The woman was unable to identify the man who stole her purse because it had been too dark at the time of the robbery. He was identified by the clothes he was wearing. Over 30% of the contemporary world's people identify themselves as either Muslims or Hindus. The body of the person killed in the fire was so badly burned that it was unidentifiable. 64. Imagine. Suppose or assume. I can't imagine why Sally went to the party when she doesn't know anyone there, and she hates drinking. William Blake once observed that what is now proved was once only imagined. The stars we see in the sky at night are unimaginably far away. 65. Impact. Have a strong effect on someone or something. Georgina made an impact within her first month on the job. The downturn in the European economy is sure to have an impact on the American economy as well. The kind of food we eat makes a huge impact on our health. African cultural expressions have been greatly impacted by the effects of colonialism. 66. Improve. Make or become better. I've noticed a good improvement in Lori's health since she started eating less junk food. Your English has really improved in the last few months. There is an Italian proverb which states that old wine and friends improve with age. 67. Indicate. To highlight our show. The green light will indicate the strength of the batteries. Surprisingly, a smile on an individual's face doesn't always indicate the person is happy. He indicated the map on the wall and asked the students to show him where they were from. The size of your computer screen indicates the diagonal distance from one corner to another. 68. Instead. As an alternative or substitute. I will try to make friends instead of enemies. Instead, Felipa met them at the corral. You might have said something in my defense last night, instead of sitting there like a lump on a log. 69. Involve. Have or include something as a necessary or integral part or result. First-degree burns involve only the outer layer of skin. It is important to involve yourself in the life of your children. The Dalai Lama once observed that great love and great achievements involve great risk. 70. Kind. Caring, nice. A group of people or things having similar characteristics. Only when he became sick did the ruthless businessman become kind and sympathetic to the plight of others. She glanced around for some kind of weapon as they walked, and soon came up with a walking stick. Chauvinistic, no doubt, but it was kind of nice to be looked after. 71. Last. Coming after all others in time or order, final. Toward what place was the eagle flying when you last saw it? These happy days did not last long. At last the day came for the ship to sail. After one last look around to see if she was being watched, she started into the woods. 72. Least. Smallest in amount, extent, or significance. At least he was honorable, but if the look on his face was any indication, he was regretting that offer. They wanted her out of the way, or at least silent. I don't understand it. I don't in the least understand why men can't live without wars. She had a lot of crow to eat and she wasn't feeling the least bit hungry. 73. Lie. Be, remain, or be kept in a specified state. The policeman told the driver to get out of his car, and lie on the ground. The child admitted he had lied when the stolen toy was found in his room. Vanya felt bad after lying to her parents. I can't really trust him because he has lied to me about a number of things. 85% of the land of Greenland lies beneath permanent ice. 74. Line. A long, narrow marker band. Stand or be positioned at intervals along. A row of closely spaced dots will look like a continuous line. The voice on the other end of the line responded dryly. There was a fine line between protecting and smothering, though. A small group of elderly tourists got off the bus, and lined up at the customs office. 75. Listen. Give one's attention to a sound. Rarely do I listen to the radio. Listen carefully to what I am going to tell you. In the information age, you have to listen to the ideas of people regardless of where they are in the organization. The longer I listen to her, the less I like her. Her mind is broad enough to listen to his son. 76. Little. Small in size, amount, or degree. Little did I imagine that my plan would go wrong. I'm not a little surprised that the policeman was arrested. The dog attacked the little boy. I need a little time to talk to you now. I have quite a little work to do this afternoon. There was very little in the way of entertainment. 77. Long. Measuring a great distance from end to end. It will not be long before we know the result. In the long run, prices will rise. Quarrels would not last long if the fault were only on one side. A person won't remain long in business if he does not come down to earth and think business. How long does it take to get to your office from the port? Our principal made a long speech. 78. Low. Of less than average height from top to bottom or to the top from the ground. We talked in a low voice so as not to wake the baby. Find someone who prefers quality over low cost for clothing. Quantity. The atmosphere of Mars is very thin because the low gravity is unable to retain most gases. 79. Maintain. To keep something in its current state. The roads haven't been properly maintained, and now are full of cracks and potholes. The city can no longer afford to maintain the zoo, and will sell all the animals that are remaining. In order to ensure proper maintenance of your car, you should do a regular tune-up. 80. Manage. Be in charge of a business, organization, or undertaking. Run. You need to learn to manage your finances a little better. His managerial skills are not quite what they should be to oversee a staff of this size. How do you manage to stay so slim? Benjamin Franklin wrote that an undutiful daughter will prove an unmanageable wife. 81. Matter. Physical substance in general, as distinct from mind and spirit. Be important or significant. Shrimp and crabs are scavengers that feed on decaying matter found on the ocean floor. All matter in the universe is composed of atoms. Before she could be irritated by his words, he continued, "We will discuss matters later." The president says that his affair with a White House aide is a private matter, and should not be discussed in the press. It does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. What matters is that we're here together again. 82. Measure. Ascertain the size, amount, or degree of something. A plan or course of action taken to achieve a particular purpose. A close measurement of the room showed it to be larger than we had thought. Hal's pet snake measures almost 5 feet long. The government needs to take measures to curb violent crime. 83. Mention. Refer to something briefly and without going into detail. Don't mention anything about the dead hamster to the kids, it really gets them upset. You were mentioned in the report as being one of those responsible. Your mother made no mention of the health problems she was having when I saw her. 84. Mind. A person's ability to think and reason, the intellect. Be distressed, annoyed, or worried by. Those words stayed in her mind all afternoon. I don't mind the rain. Never mind the opinion polls. 85. Move. Go in a specified direction or manner, change position. And yet, Howard made no move to call for help. She had to move a few things to make room, but that wasn't too hard. Did he want to move out of the apartment? 86. Necessary. Needed to be done, achieved, or present, essential. To really learn vocabulary, it is necessary to study it in a variety of ways. Higher prices do not necessarily mean better quality. Each summer, hot weather in this part of the state necessitates water rationing. Many dolphins die unnecessarily after getting caught in fishermen's nets. 87. Off. Away from the place in question, to or at a distance. Thank you for getting me off the hook. She turned off the light and pulled the covers up. The dark interior set off caution bells again. It was almost as if he were shutting Philippa off before she could reveal something. 88. Offer. Present or proffer, something, for someone, to accept or reject as desired. Can I offer you something to drink? Some guy made Sharon an offer of $1,500 for her car, but she wants at least $2,000. The Bay is offering a 25% discount on all clothing bought before midnight tonight. The old woman offered the young boy some money to cut her grass, but he refused, saying it was unnecessary to pay him. 89. Often. Frequently, many times. Some things never grew boring no matter how often they were repeated. Maybe hearing Mary say it so often had burned it into his brain. People are often victims of their own natures. She wandered the mansion as she often did, restless and starving. 90. Over. Extending directly upwards from. At a higher level or layer than. What are you doing over here? His flat was over the shop. He is famous all over the world. He bent over, picked up her clothes and tossed them to her. I don't want a shadow hanging over him. 91. Own. Have something, as one's own, possess. His own people despised him for his wickedness. She would have to accept the fact that she was on her own with the baby. Was it greedy to want one of their own as well? So, with his own hands he carried the golden tripod to the little house where Thales lived. 92. Particular. Used to single out an individual member of a specified group. Elaine is very particular about her coffee, it has to be very strong and very hot. He looks great on television, but in real life he is not particularly handsome. Is there any particular kind of cheese you want for the pizza, or should I just buy whatever is on sale? Henry Ford once remarked that nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. 93. Piece. A portion of an object or of material, produced by cutting, tearing, or breaking the whole. He turned his attention to the fire and tucked another piece of bark into the bright coals. It was the last piece of the puzzle. But I will give her a piece of my mind. One piece of good sense would be more memorable than a monument as high as the moon. 94. Position. A place where someone or something is located or has been put. The distress call had given the ship's position. He pulled out a chair and positioned it between them. Han chuckled from his position near the window. He rose from his kneeling position and faced her. 95. Prepare. Make something ready for use or consideration. The government was totally unprepared for a disaster of this size. Perhaps the most important part of a good presentation is good preparation. Henry Buckle once said that society prepares the crime, and the criminal commits it. She studied for 3 solid days in order to prepare for her final exam. 96. Present. In a particular place. The period of time now occurring. A doctor must be present at the ringside. She did not expect to find herself in her present situation. They are happy and at peace, refusing to think beyond the present. Let him present his side. They are going to give me a lovely present, but I cannot guess what it will be. 97. Pretty. Of a person, especially a woman or child, attractive in a delicate way without being truly beautiful. To a moderately high degree, fairly. Julie was a pretty girl, in her mid-20s, I guessed. We just turned off the highway, so we'll be there pretty soon. He looked pretty fit for his age. Your aunt and uncle seem pretty fond of you. 98. Project. An individual or collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. Extend outwards beyond something else, protrude. Our most recent sales projection anticipates an increase of about 5%. My son is doing a school project on rockets, and how they work. I noticed a slip of paper projecting from the book. 99. Prove. To show or demonstrate. The only way to prove that you did not use a calculator to answer the equation is to show your work on paper. Receipts are needed to prove that a purchase of the laptop took place. If they are proved guilty, we won't trade with them. 100. Provide. Make available for use, supply. These documents will provide you with all the information you need. Analysts predict the company will provide over 100 full-time, permanent jobs in the region.